Alright folks, we are doing the developer stream. This is the developer stream for what would have been Thursday the 21st of May 2020. As always, gonna cover the developer blog, give my thoughts and opinions on maybe the state of the game, some things that have maybe happened, what I'm generally feeling about the game, the community, whatever. I generally just discuss the sort of live reaction to the stream. TC Octus has left. This is his last developer stream. TC Octus has been the community manager, I believe, through 4, 5, and I believe he sort of got started in Gears 3. So a chunk of the developer blog will be about TC Octus, I believe. Just wanted to say that since I've been a part of the Gears community again, since coming back in Gears 5, I've never really had any negative experiences with TC Octus. The only negative experience I've ever had was more to do with the launch of the game, and that was just an entire Gears-based thing. It was when there was no EU servers, and for every single day, like, we were on Discord, we were on Reddit, we were on Twitter, asking like all the channels, all related, the Coalition, Octus, everyone, really, oh, why can't we play the game? Because we didn't understand why there was no servers. I hadn't really researched the game a lot at that point, and when I came back, it was just super laggy. There was no servers, and I wasn't sure what was going on. Yeah, we never really got any confirmation until much later. People said like, oh, you should go for the community manager. I tried for it. I did submit. I think they will hire somebody that's known in the community just for like PR, but it won't be me, obviously. The reality of the situation is you need 5 years experience, you need a journalism degree, you need all of this stuff, and maybe if I was able to fill in the application process and tweak it to my liking, I might have had a chance. But the way the application process worked was pretty much submit resume, and mine is basically blank, so there's no chance there. And then there was like a covering letter, well, that's basically blank as well. And there was no real additional box to be like, why do you think you fit the role? Why do you think, you should do it? Now, maybe that should be on your resume. I don't know about that stuff. I would have just liked a box to explain why I think I could fit the role. But the reality is, there's absolutely zero chance of me being hired by Gears of War. Like, my past history isn't clean enough. My channel isn't clean enough. It's not really possible. So I appreciate people saying like, oh, you should have gone for the community job. It's never going to happen. It would be lovely, it would be an amazing thing, but it's not going to happen. To be honest, I imagine a community manager can't really do much anyway. Now, it would be a brilliant foot in the door, don't get me wrong. I'd have absolutely loved it, but it's not the be all and end all of the world. There's just zero chance someone like me ever gets hired, having zero like qualifications to fit the role. My only qualification is I played Gears of War since the launch, and I've spoke about it since the launch of the game. Now, maybe that makes me really qualified, but the reality is it's Microsoft. There's a vetting process. There's a detailed resume. Are you willing to move? Well, to be honest, I can't really move to Vancouver, can I? There's all these types of stuff. But that's by the by. I just want to say thank you that you even thought of my name, because to be honest, like when I started making these videos, not a single person watched a single video, and now I've got people saying, hey, you should be the community manager, which is like crazy. Before we begin the stream, I just want to say thanks to everybody that tuned into the Gears of War 2 Classic Day and the Gears of War 1 Classic Day. Those were two of my most successful streams ever. Broke 70 views on the Gears 1 stream, and then 80 views, I think it was, on the Gears 2 stream. That's the most views I've ever had, so I wanted to say thank you for everybody that tuned in. If that Gears of War 2 VOD that I'm going to post to YouTube probably in the up and coming days gets another 200 likes, I will do Gears 3. Because I think everybody also wants to play Gears 3. All of the positive comments on the most recent community video, I didn't title it anything, I didn't want to drag any people into any drama. I just thought I'd speak about a few things open and honestly, and people seemed to receive it well. I was a bit worried about posting that video because it did have a couple community members, large community members in it, and I was a bit like, oh, do I really want to go down this route? Not really, but I kind of wanted to say it anyway. And what I'm pleased with most of all is I feel like I'm sort of slowly creating a little community that understand that I'm just a regular person that likes to talk about Gears and other games, and that means if I do play another game, You know, if I go and play Gears Tactics for a few weeks, or I go and play a different game, people can pop into the stream and chat and hang out. Hop into the stream knowing you're going to get the same sort of level of discussion, fun, you know, chats, regardless of the game. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not saying I'm moving away from Gears 5, but what I will say is I'm not going to play Gears forever, am I? You know, there are going to be other games. At the moment, I'm playing Valorant. I do need to finish Gears Tactics. So when people come into my stream and just hang out, regardless of the game I'm playing on, you know, it might not seem like a lot to most people. If I stream Valorant or if I stream Gears, I get about 20 views. So for me, that's crazy. Now, 20 views to a big streamer is nothing, right? But the fact that I can stream a different game and maintain viewership, for me, has been an enormous part of what's kept me motivated. And I think the reason I've kept this community that want to go from game to game is because, you know, it's just me chatting about games, experiencing games, and giving my thoughts. Like, I would have no hesitation that if I was going to put up a Valorant video tomorrow, yeah, it might not get as many views, but there will be people there that just appreciate the fact that, hey, this is Z, he's chatting about a different game. Stream, and I'm not massively over the top. Nobody really expects that. They're just like, yeah, I enjoy the stream, it's pretty chill. So yeah, I thought I'd just talk about that for a quick second and just say I appreciate the folks that are regularly tuning in and supporting. It really does help me stay motivated. So thank you.
And what's up, and welcome to the latest Gears 5 developer stream from here at the Coalition. Right here, I'm TC Octus. I'm in the streaming studio. I'm actually joined at a very socially safe distance today by Andius behind the monitors. I can tell you it is a godsend to have her here. To keep everything running for me. And then down below, ever as always, we've got Dana Sissons, Director of Communications, who's also at the Coalition, but upstairs to make sure that we can be really socially distanced. We tried doing it here, and it was like, it just looked like we really didn't like each other.
No, it was weird. It was like the camera was super pulled back, and there was this giant gap between us that felt very it was like, no, I know it felt like we were like fighting. But like didn't want to be in the same room with each other.
Yeah,
which
basically.
I mean I am very sad because, you know, as I've been calling you for a few months now, Judas. So because of your impending departure from the Coalition.
Yeah. So this is my last stream, I guess, and then I'm out on Tuesday's my last day. You know, I've been doing this community management thing for like 3 years. Professionally, at the time I was at Rocksteady working on Batman.
Yeah.
And I just sent him a DM and I was like, hey, like if you are looking for another community person, like I want in. And then yeah, he put me in touch and I went for a bunch of interviews, and I think after like within a week I had an offer and I was like, yes, I'll go. I've never been to this place, I've never met these people, but I'll go. I'd met Rod a couple times on the road, right? So yeah, it's gonna be weird to not be a part of Gears anymore on the inside, but like it's Gears, like I'm still going to be playing it, and now I don't spoil the experience of myself by seeing everything before it's done. So, which was always something that's like a good and a bad. So
well, and it's funny because you know a lot of the stuff that's coming and all the stuff that we're working on.
Yeah.
So, which is great for you, and but at the same time it'd be funny because a lot of it is you know, in process, or in just design, or early art, or you know, things like that. Whether it's maps that are coming, or characters that are coming, or you know, feature work that we've got going on. So
yeah,
it'll be. I fully expect to be getting like messages from you going like, oh, that worked out well. Well,
yeah,
hopefully.
for sure. Well, I mean, like that's something I was saying in the post, and like for all you guys watching, like you know, we've been talking a long time. Obviously, we're hoping to do a roadmap. Hopefully, that'll materialize at some point. You know, as Dana said, a lot of things are shifting and in flight, so we've not been able to do it. I'm sure it's still in the future, hopefully. But you know, I have seen what's to come in a lot of cases, and as a fan, I'm really excited. And like all the things we've been saying to you about, you know, this kind of, I guess, like this brighter future and kind of all this future of your feedback being brought into action, it just taking time is there. And I'm excited that I'm leaving at a time where, like, if I'm gonna leave, it's at least a point where I think a lot of your feedback has been put into action, and I think you're gonna see some really amazing results at the end of it. I hope it turns out really well. The team are doing an amazing job so far, and I'm gutted I'm not really going to be there for what I think are still the best days of Gears 5 ahead for me personally. I think the best is more than yet to come. I think there's going to be so much cool stuff, and it's great because I get to enjoy it as a fan now. But on the downside, it'd be great to be here with the team and kind of celebrate what I think is going to be a series of successes. But yeah, it's a great time.
The importance of having a fan in the role.
Yeah.
Now, and I want to let you talk about why if you think that's important. Because you are someone that obviously came up through the Gears community back with G-Con, way back in the day, and then you kind of moved away from Gears, and then you come back. So, can you talk a little bit about, is being a fan really, really important?
So from a community perspective, like talking from a community role, there is definitely a benefit to being a fan, and at least being in touch with it. But from a professional standpoint, community management is something that you do as a professional, where you kind of immerse yourself in a community, you learn about it, you learn about the culture of the game, and you spend all this time and effort on kind of making sure you become an expert, even if you haven't originally been one. I started my career, obviously, doing fan stuff for Gears, but my actual first job, for those of you who don't know, I worked for about 2.5 years on Call of Duty. And at the time, I was a huge fan of Call of Duty single player, but I didn't really play the multiplayer. It wasn't really for me. I was playing Gears all the time. And so, like, when you bear that in mind, what I did when I came in was I became an expert. I started playing with the community. I learned the mechanics, the lingo, the background, the things they liked, the things they didn't. And community management as a job is about being an expert on fans and understanding them, and help the dev team understand what the fans want. You are not there to kind of tell the dev team what to do. You are not there to be the only voice of the fans. The devs are out there reading as well. What you're there to do is to immerse yourself in the culture of the community, and understand all the aspects of it and the different audiences and where they talk. For example, the forum audience we have is a very different kind of player to the players that we see on, say, our Facebook comments. Mm-hmm. And making sure that you're representing all our different kinds of players and all the places that they talk. And that's the skill set that's most important, is knowing how to do that, and especially in a development environment. Like, going from a publisher side, which is my Call of Duty role, to a developer side was a big culture shock. And learning how to be effective, efficient, and very good at doing what you do, and knowing how to communicate and talk to all those different kinds of players in all those different kinds of ways takes time and experience. So, being a fan is definitely an asset, but above all, community is a skill set that really takes time. I think one of the biggest things that I can say about that time aspect is the longer you go on as a community expert, the more you're able to kind of predict community reaction. Again, sometimes you predict things, and like anything, everyone has opinions or thoughts, and you'll be correct on your prediction, but maybe it's not followed. And that's typical for anything, right? Like, I'm not an all-seeing seer. Sometimes I'll predict things and they'll be wrong. Sometimes I'll predict things and they'll be right and no one listened. Or not that no one listened, but they went, okay, fair enough, but we're going to take the risk, or whatever it is. And that's a big part of it too, is kind of understanding what you believe the reaction will be and representing that before you do something, and all that sort of stuff. So that's probably and that only really comes with time and expertise, to be honest. So I hope that gives an overview. It's a hard job to describe community because so much of it is actually behind the scenes.
Right. I think
like 40% external, maybe, I would say.
Yeah.
But
I would say advocacy is like the role.
Yeah, I like that word to use for it.
Yeah, like you're there. Not you. A community manager is someone that is in the community advocating for the developer in the community, and then inside of the studio advocating for the community to the developers.
Yeah.
And because sometimes there's really lockstep alignment on both that, and sometimes there's tension between what the community wants and what the developer wants. And that's not to say, and they're both in those scenarios, both people can be right, and some of those scenarios, some people can be wrong.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think for where a good community manager comes in is understanding that of how to sort of walk that line, because there is a balance that you have to tread. And for me, as we're looking at, I hate to use the word replacing, because Liam, you're irreplaceable in my heart.
We'll see him say that about the next one who comes in, eh?
No, I mean, I think, as we're looking at adding someone new to the so apparently there's an echo. There shouldn't be an echo.
Oh, it might be Dana's up a little too loud on the speakers out front, Amy, if you want to fix Andius.
Okay, I think Andius should be fixing that.
Yeah,
so
it's probably picking up the speakers that Dana's coming through.
I mean, for me, it's like I want to go and I want to make sure that we're getting somebody that understands how to be a good community manager. And in an ideal world, I would be able to go and hire somebody that has good community management experience, as well as is a big fan of Gears and understands the community and functions in that role. That would be the preferred. Obviously, I think everyone would want.
I had 3.5 years experience, I think, when I joined here as a professional CM.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it. And I think like looking at some of the people that I know that I've had reach out to me have been like, oh, I'm new or I'm young and I'm doing this, and my dream job is to work for Gears of War. And that's like, well, that's great. Then don't wait for Gears of War as a job. Get some experience first. So if and that's not just for community management. That's for anything. Like if you're a VFX person and you want to go and work for Gears of War, don't wait to get your first job as a VFX person for Gears of War. Go and get some experience, so that when that VFX role comes up, you're ready to move into that position and take advantage of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, and that's not to say you don't even have to go do it professionally as a piece of advice. Like, if you think about my career, I went and did Gears fan stuff, and it didn't get me in the door on Gears because obviously, I was doing it until just after Gears 3 came out. And Gears 3 shortly after it was just Judgment, and then obviously Epic were taking a bit of a hiatus. So I think even if I wanted, even if they had offered me anything, it would have made sense anyway, right? Knowing that now, at the time I was like, I just want a job so bad. But I took the skills that I kind of acquired from 2 years of doing fan group stuff, and took that and used it to get a job on Call of Duty, right? And the key thing I'd say from that is a big part of community management is building communities and knowing how to do that. Mm-hmm. And what I did by having a fan group is I had people that worked with me who did amazing stuff. Like GCon was not my success, it was a group success. But I was kind of focused on like, what are we doing? What's the most impactful? What can we do that's going to make the most effect? Yeah, like if you really care about doing it, that's a great way to kind of show your chops. Like if you have the sensibilities, like go making your own thing is a big way to kind of get in the door, especially on a franchise you love, to be honest.
Well, and for me, and this is kind of a byproduct of, like, I know I've heard some people online complaining about the experience requirements for this role. This is, I mean, you're a senior person. This is a senior role.
I think I've got 8.5 years.
And
8.5 years community.
And if this was a more entry-level position, then it's a lot easier for someone to be able to come in with that more of a fan perspective, rather than coming in with an understanding. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that people don't see about, like managing Jira tickets and how do you go and work with developers and how are you understanding the development process and timelines, and like there's just a bunch of like I was talking with friends yesterday, and they were like, oh, what are you working on? I'm like, well, I'm writing a plan and I've got to get this report done and all this kind of stuff. And and they were like, oh, that sounds lame. And I was like, yeah, well, everyone thinks when you work in video games, it's all like fun, but they don't understand that, yes, parts of it are really fun and it's great to work on stuff that you love, but at the same time, it's still a job.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also really excited about whoever comes in next as well, because I think something that's really important to know, I guess, about my history here is it's been complex. My role has kind of varied pretty dramatically. Obviously Pez Radar was part of the team, and when he left, I was kind of left on my own as a one-man army. To be honest, when Pez was here at times, I was having to be a bit of a one-man army on the community front because he was obviously doing PR and marketing as well. And over time, my role in community is kind of, I got more and more kind of involved in the game side with the live team and like all these different elements that I would say are a bit non-traditional for a community manager, but just where I was kind of asked to be, wow, I got like the whole team chasing after me. So my role kind of got spread in a different way that I think most community roles do, and I think whoever comes in next, I think is going to probably have a bit more of like a focused role. And I'm excited to see who comes in because I think they can do some amazing stuff with a bit more kind of, I guess like a bit more kind of concentration of their efforts versus the way my role just panned out, just from a matter of, whenever you're at a company for almost 5 years, you pick up a lot of responsibilities that are probably outside the remit of what whoever comes in next will have. So I'm excited to see what they do, and I honestly think whoever gets hired, I think the scrutiny will be high on whoever gets hired for, working with the Gears community. I think is like, I'm not even joking about this. Like, not just from a like a, it's a dream come true to have worked on Gears, and I'm so thankful, by the way, for everyone who's sent such lovely messages. Like, it means the world to me, just purely because you always want to be better than you are, and I'm glad so many of you were happy with at least what I was able to do whilst I was here.
I thought I'd just let that play. I'm letting it play and listening to it because there's a lot of great advice in there, and there's a lot of honesty, and it's Liam's last dev stream, and people will want to listen to maybe why he's left, his decisions, how he joined the team. So I thought I'd let that play, and I'm not going to talk over it. I don't really have anything to add. I'm going to say here, I think Liam's trying to nicely say the Gears of War scene is very passionate. It sometimes bubbles over, almost all the time it bubbles over, and they're pretty toxic towards developers, and the developers probably hate reading 99.9% of the stuff they get because it's probably dreadful, it's probably hurtful, but they appreciate the 0.1% that really like the game and try to not bash the devs. That's why I really tried to take a step back, because that first video I made in the game, it was too much. It did spill over, and I hope I've controlled it since then. I imagine Liam's trying to, in a very nice about way, say, I really like the Gears scene, but there's a part of me that's glad that I'm getting out of that toxic mess. I can probably kind of feel that. We've seen Cliffy B say that, a few other people. So it's a pretty strong scene, shall we say.
To see what they bring to the table, because everyone has a different style of doing community, and everyone brings different skill sets to the table. You get people who are very creative, you get people who are very project driven, you get people who are very kind of multitasking, some people who are very organized and kind of rigid, but that means that they are extremely efficient. There's all these different kinds of community managers, and they'll bring new things to the table that I didn't. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. Like, as a fan, I get to be there. I'm not going to be talking in the community, really, because it's not really appropriate for a community manager to kind of hang out in their old community in a vocal terms, but I'll be there silently judging, but hopefully admiring.
Wow. Whatever, I know you're going to keep messaging me like, hey, can I get this skin? Or whatever.
No, I would never. Andy, put me on that TCA list. I need to become a YouTuber. Stat.
Cool. So, I mean, I think, I know this was a little bit at the beginning to talk a lot about Liam's role and the replacement for people that are applying for that job. And this is kind of me, as a way of saying that, look at I would love to have someone that is a fan of the game. That is, to me, a huge, huge asset to bring into this team. But, someone at the same time, it's equally, if not, as important to understand how to be a business person.
Yeah, I just want to.
And when I say business, I mean like a professional person, someone that has been in a corporate environment, someone that has worked, understands how to be in a studio and all of that stuff. And that's not to say that's like the only qualifier, but it's important to understand that there is a lot that goes on to working on a franchise the scale of Gears of War.
Yeah, I also as a community gig, and that was kind of what I was getting to with the it's been a dream thing. The second part of that is, I'm really proud to have worked 5 years in this community, because Gears fans are, as I put in my message, Gears fans are not screwing around. You guys speak your mind, and you speak it loud and clear. There's differences is that it's not one voice. A lot of people, I think the Gears community is everyone thinks this way. But if you go to different aspects of the community, there's lots of different segments that think very differently from one another, but they all feel as passionately. Normally you have a very clear hardcore user base, but like, the Gears community is a lot more split up in a lot of different areas. Like, you just go to different parts of the internet, there's different sentiments that kind of conflict with each other.
I think that's the most difficult part about the Gears fan base is it's so split. It really is so split. For me, like, I've always known this. You've got like people, I feel like people really don't understand how many casuals play Gears. And I don't mean casuals in the sense of like, they hate Gears, they want everything to be noobish. I just mean people that play the campaign and they probably pick it up on a Friday night and play a bit of Gears and shoot some people and they're enjoying it. They like the gore, they like the action, they like the movement, they like the characters and stuff, but that's it. They're not bothered about high-level balance. Then you've got people that care about high-level balance. Then you've got pros that care even more. And then you've got people that like escape mode. They're only going to play escape. People that only play horde mode. There's so many little communities in the game that I feel, it's basically impossible to create a blanket balance for them all. Well, not impossible. I could think of a few things, but I feel like I think maybe even a developers might have said this. I'm not sure. Someone might have said this on a stream, but it's kind of like I feel like Gears of War people like feeling the most, and that's true because I think someone said that, and I was like, that's 100% true. That's how I feel. So what that means is I think a Gears of War person, they just want to come on and like be like, this game looks cool, I'm playing a cool game, the environments look cool, and it feels good. Like I shot that guy and he blew up. They want to feel the feedback of the game. They're not too bothered if the Lancer downed them in 8 bullets or 9. They just want that feeling. And yeah, maybe that feeling has gone a little bit from the game, and they would like that back. But it's also difficult to bring that feeling back because there are so many different communities, and that's why I've tried to do a little bit more PvP stuff, because generally I've just been enjoying it anyway in PvP. But yeah, there's definitely a ton of communities. That I think a lot of people think everybody that plays Gears is like this sweaty Gears ranked player that just wants a ladder system that is like hellbent on improving and movement, and it's like that's just not the case. And it doesn't mean the two can't sit side by side, but it is, I bet you it's an absolute nightmare to try and balance a game that has a hardcore scene and a completely casual scene, and then also not split it into two balances, right? There are ways you could probably do it, but yeah, it's very, very tough. And I imagine it gets immensely frustrating because I imagine sometimes like Liam will probably sit there and think, right, the casual community really, really, really want this. And there's probably like, I don't know, I'll make up a figure. Let's say 1 million casual Gears players want this. And then you've got 100,000 hardcore players. And it's like, well, do you get rid of the 100,000? Go for the 1 million? Well, how do you make that line? And if you merge the two, then it can become a bit wishy-washy. And then you end up capturing nobody in that sort of that Venn diagram of like hardcore and casual and all that. Yeah, I bet you it gets very, very frustrating, very stressful. I can imagine doing that for 5 years would really take a toll on anyone.
Not always. Like there's a lot of similarities, but there's sections where there is difference. And for me, like I'm proud to have worked 5 years among you guys as a community, purely because I think the passion, like I had a lot of people kind of saying like, I don't know how he put up with it for 5 years, and some of the things that he gets sent and all this sort of stuff. And to be honest, the worst thing you can do as a community manager is work on a game that no one cares about. And the best thing you can do is work on a game that people care ferociously about. And Gears fans care ferociously. And yeah, sometimes it's harsh and sometimes it's a hard read, but at the end of the day, the thing that makes this job so good and so hard is the fact that you guys are so full on and you care so much. And that's why the point I'm getting to is that's why I'm proud to have this kind of on my resume, so to speak, is it's a community that being part of and trying to deliver on what you want is tougher than a lot of other communities. And we might not be in charge on the community team of the game, but we are in charge of advocating for you, as Dana put it. And it's a lot of fun to do that. And yeah, that's why I'm excited for whoever comes in, and I think to Dana's point about it, looking for the experience is a big thing, is, it is a tough role, but it's super rewarding if you can do it. And I'm just very grateful to have had the chance to work on a community like this. So,
It's also why Liam's going to go work for a cracker company.
Work for what?
A cracker, like a really benign. I just tried to pick a very benign, like crisps or some sort of like I'm using British analogies.
We'll see. I mean, like, in ship years, I work my butt off and I love it. I'm like an addict. So like I don't think something too slow paced like that would work for me.
Cool. Well, there we go. So that's some of that. Dark Chaos, we're not. Liam will talk about where he's going to end up when he's good and ready. It'll be in the future sometime. So, so
I will say a couple things actually on that. The first thing is the Octus account. I know you've probably seen before, like people like Pez and stuff walk off of their account. I made that account and the Octus kind of account intentionally as a kind of company thing. So we're going to give that. They won't be called Octus, but we're going to give the Twitter account to whoever the next CM is. I think that's still your plan, right, Dana?
Yeah, right now that's the intention.
So that's probably good. So if you follow that, you're already going to be in touch with the next CM. So
that's a good idea to give the community account to the next person. And that might seem like a small thing, but you can definitely you can just tell, listening to, like I've always said about the Coalition. I don't think anyone there is like this evil person that hates Gears of War. They probably just got maybe they just got bad intel, they got the wrong information. Maybe Microsoft wanted them to make a game that they weren't had or worded. Maybe, I don't know anything about the inside of the company, but maybe Microsoft were like, we want this type of game. And the Gears devs and the Gears community manager was like, I don't think we're going to like this, but maybe we can spin it a little bit, in their favor, etc. He definitely cares about the game. Like, you don't make a community page and then think, yeah, I'm going to make that because in the future, if I move on, I can give it away and keep everybody that's already following the community management page can stay followed. Like that level of foresight, that goes a long way. And you can tell if he's thinking about something like that, he's thinking about a lot of other stuff. And I imagine as well, it gets very frustrating because you're probably not allowed to talk about 99% of stuff that you're thinking. Like, for example, in some alternate universe, let's say I became the developer, the community manager. What could I say if I go out there and I sit there and I think, right, behind the scenes, they've all spoke and they all don't want this style of Lancer, or they all don't want this Nasher, or they're definitely focusing on this type of main role, or blah blah blah. There's loads of different things they're focusing on. I think, God, the community don't want that. But what do you come out and say? You can't reveal what they're working on. You can't really crap all over the people that are working behind you because you're the face of the company. I imagine it's a very strange role because you're technically probably a small person in the community. You're not the lead developer, you're not the game designer, you're not the people that build the game, the art people that make the way it looks, but you're the face of it, so you can't crap all over your team, but you also want to tell the community that you're fighting for them, and also not crap all over your team. So I imagine it gets very hectic trying to come out and say some stuff, and that's why I imagine the phrase, we'll pass it on to the team. I feel like that's their way of saying, I'll see what I can do, you know what I mean? And I think the community should probably know that, but they don't. I think the community probably don't understand that. I think Liam and whoever was the community managers in the past and people that work there, they're all trying to fight to make a good game. Nobody wants to be part of a bad game, even if you were to look at it selfishly from a business standpoint. Let's say you were the community manager for a dead game. I can't think of one off the top of my head. Maybe Battalion 1944, that came out and instantly died. Would you rather say you're the most passionate man that worked for Battalion 1944, or would you rather say, I was the head community manager for Fortnite for all of its most prosperous years? Everybody wants the game to be good, even if it's just from a selfish standpoint. So I don't think they're there to I want Gears of War to be noobish. I don't think anybody's thinking that. Yeah, because it doesn't make sense. They obviously all love Gears, they all care about Gears, but they're not invested as a player. Does that make sense? They're not thinking, oh, I suck at Gears of War. I want to make this franchise as noobish as possible so I can be good. No, they want to make the franchise as good as possible so that it's a success, even if it was a selfish reason to make themselves look good, have a good CV, have a good track record. And also, I imagine it's a lot of fun to be part of a successful company. Nobody's having fun in a company that isn't successful, so it's in their best interest to make the game good. So I don't think anybody's out there sabotaging the game to be like, yeah, we need this game to suck, we need it to be noobish. No, they're just trying their best. Like,
you know, I won't be using it beyond Tuesday. For those of you who know, you know what I'm called if you do want to stay in touch. And the second thing...
Should I say it
TC
online?
Not Octus. That sounded like I was playing favorites. I'm not. I'm just saying, like, you know, I don't want to...
If you're from back in the day, then...
Yeah. And then secondly, I saw some people being like, oh, like, is he leaving because he doesn't believe in the future of Gears and all this sort of stuff? And I just want to make it clear, like, as an on-the-record thing, that's not at all what it is. Like, as Dana said, like, I've been thinking for a while about moving back to the UK. I actually accepted this job, what was it, late January, early February, something like that, Dana? Yeah. I gave
Feels
my
like 100 million. It was a pre-COVID world.
Yeah, it was a pre-COVID world. So I'm moving back for a new opportunity. But it's nothing to do with the future of the game.
No.
I'm really excited about what's coming.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about the kind of new team structure. You know, obviously Rod and Ryan are no longer here, and we wish them all the best. And obviously new team structures come in after that. And I think, you know, there's some really talented people still very much at the forefront. And yeah, I just can't wait to see what they do. But I just want to make that clear because I saw some people on Reddit. By the way, thank you, Reddit community. Like, you were super lovely, and I haven't jumped in to say thank you yet, but I was reading it this morning and getting all the feels. Yeah. But I just wanted to let you know that, and just know that this isn't a reflection on the team or anything like that. This is just, I've worked on Gears for 5 years, and you know, it's a dream come true. But like, at the end of the day, I moved halfway across the world for it, and that, you know, you learn after 5 years. I think if you want to, you know, I'm about to be 30, and I was kind of thinking, do I want to be in the UK when I'm 30, or do I want to be in Canada when I'm 30? And I kind of land on the UK thing. So just to clear up any confusion about, you know, I saw some people thinking it was some sign of my feelings towards the game.
No, and there was other people that were like, Liam was fired, which I was like...
I was like, I saw some comments like that, and I was like, if I was fired, this would have been like the nicest send-off for a fired employee of all time. Just like, oh, come on the stream, post your announcement a week early.
No, I know. Like, it would be normally would be like, all right, thanks. See you later.
Yeah. It would just be like, yeah, no longer working with the studio. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, we wish you well with all of your service.
I'll run one more lobby just to keep chatting, and then I'll switch people.
Yeah. So yes, Liam. Yeah. I think you've said it well enough. So we're good to go. So some question.
So I thought I would leave that there just for the whole of the beginning of the video, because obviously that's a big moment in the sort of franchise. As Rod, Ryan, and now Liam have left, and people still will say, "Oh, the game's dying, that's why they're leaving." You can tell it's absolutely nothing to do with that. But I thought I would play that in full just so you get a feel for it, and then I'm probably just gonna now skip ahead and pick out some quick fire questions and answers. And then if I think there needs to be a response from me, I will jump in. But we're taking this one more laid back because it's more about the fact that the team's changing position. And there's going to be obviously probably a little bit of downtime. You know, COVID, people getting up to speed, how the new community manager would obviously have to get up to speed. So we're just going to now do some quick fire questions, and we'll see where that gets us. So... boom, roll it.
So the one you saw in the Carmine trailer is coming, and right now the plan is at some point you will be able to get this operation. I just don't know what the final date plan is, but oh my god, I've missed that.
Yeah, it's coming. Just stay tuned. It is something that we know that you guys want, and it is coming. So
and you'll be able to earn the home run execution very soon, thanks to a certain sniper event that we know you love.
Yes. which we're going to make sure that it's got full of melee and body shots. So.
Oh, you have to melee before you're allowed to shoot. Actually, it's the only way you get bullets.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You got to run around and punch people.
You see, there'll be somebody there that is taking that seriously. I think they're trying to say is this time the one shot, one kill is actually going to be decent, which should be good. I mean, this is how you do one shot, one kill. It is headshots only. That's it. Headshots only. There we go. Solved. I don't even think people should go down, and I don't think people should, go down or anything. It should just be headshots only, no downs, or at least no melee, etc., etc. At least they can joke about it, you know. So far, it's a repeat again. There's not too much they can ask, and I think, there's not too much they can answer because basically, it's all been asked before and it's all in past developer blogs. We've seen about horde characters, we've seen about skins. Can we get more Tor in the Iron? You greedy, you know, all those stuff that I've spoke about in length. There's nothing new, so again, we're going to jump ahead. If there's anything new, I will post it. If there's not anything new, then this will be the end of the video, and I thank you for watching. And give it a thumbs up and a comment.
So, and you know, we were, you know, balancing the world of authentic, how they were authentic looking inside of the IP that we don't own, and so we were able to work back and forth with them to make some changes. I don't have an exact release date on when those are going to get put out, when that's going to happen, but it is something that has been improved, so people will be able to continue to play with them, but they will be a lot more, hopefully a lot more visible when you're playing on a dark map such as Asylum, where we're playing right now.
Well, that's good to hear. I would hope it's more than hopefully. I would feel like if you've gone to all that effort to make the Terminator more visible, it should definitely be visible. Like if it's still not visible, I can already read the comments of people going, they can't even do this right. I'm sure it's just, I think what happens and what people probably don't get is, I think they're probably very wary of saying some absolutes, meaning if they come out and say the Terminator is visible, and then it comes out that it's not visible, then someone out there will be going, you said it was going to be 100% visible, it's not, yada yada yada. So they're probably just covering themselves. I imagine the Terminator is going to come out and be a lot more visible. Yeah, so that sounds good, because Terminators obviously are annoying. I mean, the Terminator shouldn't be in the game in general. They shouldn't have sold out like that. The Terminator doesn't belong in the franchise. Neither does Batista. Neither does a Batista bomb. You know, but you know, it is what it is.
There are maps in various stages, so you're going to see, you know, maps coming out in Op 4, and then more maps coming out in Op 5. That's kind of where we are. This is something that it takes time for us to. This isn't just a matter of we're not holding maps back. If we had maps, we would put them into the game. So that's kind of, even the Legacy Gears 4 maps. It's not just as simple as a port. It requires time to get those over. And when we're working on that, that's still other time that's not being allocated and such. There you go. Looking good, Liam. So that's.
So that fits in with the 6 months, doesn't it? If there's some maps coming up in Operation 4, that means they were made probably, you know, a good, maybe let's say 4 months ago, when people were moaning at lack of maps. And then when they got rid of the tile system and they really ramped it up, Operation 5 will have even more maps. That's up to you if you're happy with that, I guess. That's going to be like, each operation is 3 months, isn't it? So Operation 4 is going to be, I think, is it in like a month or something? And then the next operation will be 3 months after that. So maybe in 4 months, you're going to have a lot more maps to play. The question is how many? You know, in 4 months, let's say they release 4 maps, which would be a lot more than they've currently released. Or let's say they release, through some miracle, 6 maps. Would 6 maps extra be enough in 4 months' time? I think personally it probably would freshen it up, but I think 6 is a lot of maps, and I don't think there will be 6. I would just definitely say that, yeah, I think the tour of duty for Operation 3 was really, really good. I'd still like to see a bit better content, but wouldn't we all? Obviously, everybody wants better content, that goes without saying. But I think the actual manner and the way Operation 3 worked was very, very good, the tour in Operation 3. And I'm sure 4 and 5 will also follow that and improve. It's just, again, is it too little too late? Now, personally, I think I'm of a different opinion. I think if a game ends up being good, then people should stay on it. But the problem ends up being, let's say in a year's time, Gears of War 5 is the best game that's ever been released, the best Gears game, the most content. In a year's time, people might have moved on to different games, the new Xbox, the new PlayStation, people might have bought new PC hardware to compete. So in a year's time, Gears of War 5 might be the best thing ever. Now, I'm of the opinion that if a game is really, really good, you should just play it, whether it's old or whether it's new. And that's kind of like how Rainbow Six Siege came back. Like, yeah, the game kind of had a rough start, but now it's fully blooming. That's because they kept updating it and people kept sticking with it. But that's because there isn't a future one, is there? So what I mean by that is they might make Gears 5 absolutely brilliant and everybody starts playing it and everybody's loving it, but then the second Gears 6 drops, everybody's going to ditch Gears 5, and that's kind of worrying. But that's kind of just like the cyclical, I guess you would call it, nature of console games, where there's always the next one. So it's hard to keep the game alive for a long period of time with an older player base that like that game, because there's always that new one around the corner. You know, it's like if League of Legends 2 was to be released tomorrow, even though League of Legends 1 is a brilliant game, there will be most of the community leaves it for League of Legends 2 and won't go back because they want to play the new one, even if they like it a little bit less, because they then want to see it grow and, you know, help support it and all of that stuff. So I think it's just a difficult place when it comes to consoles. Like, they take a long time to become really, really good, and then by the time they get really, really good, everyone's ready for the new one. So yeah, I imagine it gets very, very frustrating. If this was just called Gears of War and there was only one Gears of War, people would be like, all right, I'll check back in a year, and then they might check back in a year and be like, yeah, Gears of War is amazing. But because it's Gears of War 5, people are already like, all right, I'm bored with that, I'm going to wait for Gears 6. So I think it becomes very difficult to play that time game. Like, I know the game will be good in a year's time. It just will be. You can just tell. But will people be playing it in a year's time? That's an entirely different story.
Or take that feedback and implement it in a way that makes you happy. And yeah, there's a balance to strike for sure with the store, in the sense of, you know, all the content, all the maps, all the modes, all that sort of stuff. You know, like, development isn't free. It costs money to have people working on that stuff, outsources, all that sort of stuff. And, you know, every game.
I'm of the controversial opinion that I really don't care about the store. I think the store's pretty much fine. Yes, it would be nice if the weapons were bundled together. You know, I don't want to buy a single Talon pistol for 400 iron. I want to buy an entire, you know, set for 400 iron, obviously. But I don't think the people working on Gears of War are stupid. They obviously know what sells and makes the most money. You know, I played Valorant recently, and CSGO. You can buy a knife on CSGO for like 20,000. Yeah, 20,000 as in 20,000. You can buy a knife for, I think there was some for like 30,000, even more. You can buy a sticker that goes on the gun for 40,000. You can buy a skin for your sniper, 20,000, 10,000, 1,000, 1p. There's an entire range of it. You know, there are much worse games that are still successful due to their shop. I don't think the reason the game is a flop or a success is down to the shop. That's just the way it is these days. Games have shops. Yes, it would be lovely if they were more improved, but I also made the argument, and people go crazy when I say this, not having a shop is anti-consumer. And people will go, what? What are you talking about? I've done an entire video on this, but the long and short of it is, some people have more money than time, and some people have more time than money. And for somebody that has a lot of money, they might think, you know, I really want to get that sniper skin, but I have no possible way of, let's say there's a challenge, do 20 horde games 1 to 50. Maybe they just don't have enough time to grind 1 to 50 and they want that skin. Now, some people say, well, if you want it, earn it. But other people will say, well, I do want that skin and I'm happy to purchase it and pay a premium for it and avoid that, that sort of pay to skip. Now, if that content that they're paying for doesn't give you an advantage in the game, I don't really have a problem with it. If I want to say, like the old totem system, if I want to unlock General Ram and do some awkward challenges, but somebody wants to pay $10 and skip it, well, for them, $10, might be worth a lot less than, say, the 10 hours of time it might take them to do that challenge. And it's kind of anti-consumer in a way to not include an option for people to purchase content that they want to get. I know that sounds ridiculous. Now, we can talk about Gears of War in the sense that sometimes you can't unlock the skins because the only way to get them is through paying. You can't grind for the skin. Now, that's a different option. That's a different debate entirely. Yes, obviously, I'd love it if I could grind for the esports skins. If it said something like complete 100 ranked matches and you get to unlock one esports skin, that would be wonderful. Will they do that? I don't know. That's something I'd love to see. Either grind for it or pay to skip, I have no problem. Now, locking content away only in a shop, that is a problem, but other games do it, such as Valorant, League of Legends, all these games. You could argue they're free to play, but honestly, like Gears of War 5 is borderline free to play, isn't it? The way it's been set up, and I know you shouldn't judge it like that because it still is a retail game, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, I don't think the reason the game's going to flop or be a success is going to be down to the shop. There's still people banging on about the shop. I think there's other issues, really.
I wouldn't even understand the scope around each one, but that's just an example. And I think
all I know is I've been told it's a very big feature because of the amount of tech and UI that goes into it. It's possible to have things like kill cam and stuff, but it's a huge amount of work. Not to say it won't ever happen, but it's been bandying around. Something that's interesting actually is kill cams only became possible with Gears 5.
Or whatever it is, and I think there's lots of things that one could talk about, but that's part of the conversation, is if we wanted to do something, what do we use it for? So release a frozen Omen under ice wallpaper. I think isn't there one? There's just the Ice Omen wallpaper on the website, I think. But theater mode, so much theater mode. Liam, what's going on with theater mode?
Wow, you would throw that at me, right?
Yep.
I vetoed it. I guess I told them you wouldn't want it. Sorry. It's a cool idea and something that would be very good to do. It's been bandying around. Something that's interesting actually is kill cams only became possible with Gears 5 due to some replay check in Unreal Engine. Oh my god. Can I not? Yeah, finally I hit that. Thanks to some replay tech that got introduced into a version of Unreal Engine that we leverage. So from a technical standpoint, it would be feasible to go do. However, making a theater mode, especially a user like front-facing theater mode, it's a huge amount of work. Like the idea's been bandied around before since it kind of became possible to have things like kill cam and stuff. But it's a huge amount of work. Not to say it won't ever happen, but it's a big feature. It's not like,
Yeah, I've been saying that since Gears 1. Like, when I saw Halo 3 had the theater mode, and how, like, revolutionary it was in terms of, like, montages and just generally, like, machinimas making communities. I've always wanted a theater mode. It's something I've said for every single Gears game. They're saying it's only now just possible. I mean, that's obviously because they've never wanted to make it possible. Obviously, if they really wanted to make it possible, they could have had one in Gears 2, 3, 4, etc. They've obviously just not thought of it as a major thing that would be needed, because it does need to be created, the tech does need to be there. It does sort of take a hell of a long time to create a theatre mode. So yeah, I understand the technology wasn't there in Gears 2 because of the engine or Gears 3, etc. But I'm pretty sure there's a very, very smart person out there that could build the technology if the community would have wanted it. So to me, it sounds more like it's never really been on the table, which is surprising, because I just think Gears of War has always been a montage scene, always been about cool cinematics. The characters look dark and gritty. They're up close and personal, look high quality. So I'm surprised there's never been a theatre mode put on the table. because I've always wanted that. Maybe not so much now because maybe montages aren't as popular. You know, I still think it should be in the game because it's just a fantastic thing. But I think I said in my last video that yeah, it would have been an amazing thing. That would have been my number one thing going from Gears 1 to Gears 2. If I'd have been in that dev team, the first thing that I said is, listen, the one thing we need in multiplayer is a theater mode. That has to be in the game. I'd have like been on my deathbed arguing for it because the Gears 1 montage scene was so big. If they could have transferred that to Gears 2, man, people would have stuck with it for so long, even with all the buggy messes, even with the bad balance, because people loved montages, and the ability to get all those sick camera angles would have been incredible. So yeah, I understand now there's just some new technology because they've got kill cams. They might be able to do it, but it would take forever, and they probably don't want to say it, but basically it ain't worth it, which is a shame. But yeah, I'd obviously love to see that.
You can just throw something like that, toggle it on, and off we go. Like it's,
no, for sure. And then Embry's like, Halo did it for years, just saying. Yeah,
well, they made it that was proprietary tech for Halo 3. Like they made that as a huge feature of Halo 3.
Well, and that's the thing is everything can be done. It's just what do you want to do in lieu of something else?
Yeah.
Exactly. So now, obviously, Gears 5 doesn't need a theatre mode. There is not enough of a community. There's not enough people going to use a theatre mode. It's not going to generate a lot of people, let's be honest. But like I said, Halo 3 knew that would have been a proprietary feature. They wanted that to come out of the box working. And man, if that had come out of the box for Gears 2 or even Gears 3, it would have been monumental. I'm amazed that nobody at the team argued to death for it because, yeah, I'm just very shocked that it never made it from Gears 1 to Gears 2 or Gears 3 or anything, because it is literally like a game-defining feature. It spawns so many... It spawns more things than you think because people are smart, people are creative, and when they have the tools, they will make something with it. Like when you have a theater mode, like who would have thought a theater mode in Halo would be used to take cool pictures? Like, do you remember people used to do different explosions and then put different filters on it and make different colors and they'd have it as their file share background? I'm sounding like a right boomer. There'll be somebody out there that knows what I'm on about. But yeah, just all this video. I'm not saying the video was bad. It's a great video. They're very positive. It's quite a light-hearted one. It's a good chat. I recommend watching it if you want to watch it. But in terms of actual new stuff that came to the table, there wasn't really anything new. There was a lot of, like, I guess you'd call it like enhancements on what they previously said. But basically there's not really any new information. It's all wait and see. Wait for Operation 4. Wait to see the new ranking system. Wait to see how things have changed. Wait to see for the maps. So at the moment, we're currently in a wait-and-see position, and I guess that makes sense with COVID. It just makes... we've also got one shot, one kill, I guess, announced. That's about the only thing, really. But, yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully that was useful for you. Yeah, I didn't want to bore you with hundreds of pointless clips of, like, slight enhancements from last week. I watched all the video. It was 2 hours long. There wasn't really anything new there, so you haven't really missed out. I'll play the closer and leave a thumbs up and a comment. We'll check you on the next video. It's probably going to be Gears Tactics. And also, yeah, if you enjoy these dev blog videos and you want to support, please do. There are links in the description below. The next videos are going to be the Gears 2 VOD. If the Gears 2 VOD gets like 200 likes, I'll do Gears 3. And then there's going to be... I'm going to try finish my Gears Tactics playthrough. So, yeah. Let's play Dana now saying some final words.
Your last stream, but thank you on behalf of the on the community of everyone that's here of our team. Like you were a really critical part of our success and the ongoing success of Gears, and you will be missed. And thank you so much.
Thanks, man. Yeah, thank you to everyone who sent me kind messages. They're things I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. It's nice to go away 5 years, like seeing people saying nice things and like not celebrating like all the celebrating means. I know some people will always be happy. You're never going to make everyone happy, and not everyone's going to like you, so that's fine. If you are celebrating, good for you. I do not hate you or anything. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but just thank you. I just want to say a big thank you to the Gears community. like I said, a lot of people on Reddit and everything were like, I don't know how he put up with it. It's not putting up with it when you work with the Gears community. It's like it's probably going to be it's almost certainly going to be the most memorable job of my life in the sense of it was my dream come true, to work on Gears. And, you know, the transferring the franchise to a new studio was never going to be easy. You know, any processes that were in place, any things that were there, I was kind of there on the ground floor when it kind of happened, just shortly after UE, when it was kind of like, okay, here's the new chapter of Gears go time for the studio. And, you know, we're still learning, and I know the studio is going to continue to be learning. They're becoming more and more experts at what they're doing every day, not just as designers generally, but as kind of Gears curators, I guess. And when we make mistakes, the one thing I can say about the studio is we learn from them. And, you know, I've been very proud to represent you guys. And hopefully in the coming months, you're going to see a lot of what both Dana, myself, and Andius and Tyrus have been doing to represent you guys and work with the team on your feedback. But yeah, just thanks for having me and for not crucifying me, to be honest, and just letting me have the opportunity to be in front of you for so long and not shut up when I probably should, like how long this is. But yeah, just thank you. I'll miss all of you, but I'm gonna be out there, to be honest, like being a fan. You might not see me, you know, posting as Octus, but just know I'm out there. I'm being a fan. I'm passing my feedback to the developers that I personally have now. I get to represent my own feedback entirely. And I can't wait to just see what the future of Gears is as a fan, to be honest.
Well, and then Liam, you will come back to the city every once in a while, so you know you're always welcome to come on the stream and say hello to people.
What? That'd be weird, but maybe. Who knows? I might shout it from out the window when you've said I can't come in.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously security restrictions. Maybe I'll just
But no, thank you. Just thank you, everyone. I'll miss all of you, and even those of you who feel like you were harsh to me and have apologized to me. No need. There is no bad blood I have for anyone. It's just part of the job.